This video is gonna piss a lot of people off, which I typically tend to do because I am not far enough on either end of the extremes to truly align with either end of a debate. Sometimes, that's not always true. But in this particular case, we're going to talk about drag queens. Apparently Girl Defined thinks they're like some sort of blasphemous slap in the face to God's grand design for womanhood. I'm not making that up, which clearly I disagree with, but then there's also people thinking that kids should go to a nightclub and throw dollar bills at drag queens that are dancing around in a very sexualized way, which I also am not particularly okay with. So I'm gonna kind of toe the line here on both sides and push back on both sides of this debate that I have been seeing online. Last week at a club in North Dallas called Mr. Mister, there was an event called Drag Your Kids to Pride. Now apparently this was held during the daytime, but it still was at a nightclub. The background was a neon sign that said it's not gonna lick itself. There were drag queens dancing around in a provocative way, taking dollar bills or cash from kids, you know, because we're dragging our kids to Pride. But you can literally see clips of money being taken from kids. You know, obviously there's so much wrong with this, but there's also so much wrong with the other side of the debate. You can see, you know, ass shaking, all kinds of provocative dancing. And clearly, whenever you're getting money thrown at you or getting handed cash, it's very reminiscent of a strip club. It's hard to not say that. And if anybody was curious, there were very young kids there, even like babies, as you can see in this picture. And it's just like hard for me not to be uncomfortable of kids being in a setting like this, even like walking up and down, doing poses, like just honestly the handing of the money to someone who's dancing in a provocative way. And what I hate about this the most is that the conversation now that this has created is about drag queens, right? When in my opinion, I don't give a shit who's dancing in a thong in a provocative way in front of kids. I don't want that happening in front of kids. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if it's a woman, a cisgendered, you know, heterosexual woman dancing in the same exact outfit, in the same exact setting, getting the same exact amount of money from kids the same exact age. I would be uncomfortable. I don't care if it's a man or a woman. I don't care. Just the setting of it feels inappropriate to me. So I do, unfortunately, I hate to say this, I do agree with some of the pushback. My initial introduction to this topic was a friend sending me a clip of a Girl Defined video, and actually I had people tweeting this at me too, of them saying horrible things about drag queens. Their video titled, "Drag Queens Are a Mockery of God's Design for Womanhood." Like I said before, I wasn't making that up. So obviously people send me this video and I click on it thinking I'm going to disagree with everything they say, which I pretty much do disagree with everything they say, except for, and we'll get into it because I'm going to go through and pick it apart because, you know, it's Girl Defined. It's too much fun to not do that. But I do agree with the overall feeling of it's just not an appropriate environment for kids. And I hate that, like I said, this has turned into a conversation about drag at all, because I fully support that. I think it's wonderful and beautiful and awesome. And I have friends that, like, I don't care. I don't care. I don't want any friggin' biblical conversation about how it's immoral. That's all stupid, honestly, like homophobic sometimes bullshit to me, and I hate it. But the thing of it is the money and the provocative nature of some of it, the neon sign that said it's not gonna lick itself. A lot of this stuff really does send up some red flags for me that I just can't ignore. A lot of people think I have this like liberal leaning bias that makes me blind to all things that are too extreme, and I would like to point out that I think this is an example of absolutely not feeling that way. But then it does go too far, like Girl Defined saying all these ridiculous things, and then Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida is trying to like legally go after parents that take their kids to anything related to drag, which again, I also disagree with.
To go after parents who allow their children to attend drag queen shows.
Like, people are all up in arms about this, saying that like CPS needs to be called on the parents. And listen, like, I disagree. I feel like there are all sorts of things that parents can do that are inappropriate. They can show their kid an R-rated film that they shouldn't show them. They could take them to a beach, which this will be brought up later, that's like a nude beach. Like there are all sorts of things that I think parents can cross lines with kids, in my personal, very subjective opinion, which basically means that I will not be doing that with my child, or maybe in the future children. Like I will make those choices according to my own ethics. And I would like to really emphasize this. My problem with this is not drag. I have seen drag queens do like library events where they read books to kids. I have no problem with that. I think kids should have an understanding of the LGBT community in all forms, including drag. I think there's nothing wrong with it. There's absolutely nothing harmful about it. Actually, I think it's a very good thing, because I think if the children do grow up in an environment where you accept everyone, they will feel more free themselves to choose their own path in life and not fear judgment, which is so important to mental health, which we will get into later. But what I would not want them to do is go to a nightclub, whether or not it's during the daytime, and hand money to provocatively dressed people of any kind, ever. But that's just me. Do I want to legally prosecute parents? No, I don't. But it just, like I said, makes me cringe a little bit. I just find it interesting. Sometimes I sit back and I think about the way that different people think and how diverse our moral code is. Like, so many people would look at my videos and have issue with the things that I say. And I'm sure this video is no exception to that. And I'm sure people, especially girl defined and people of that nature, really love when I talk about Adam and Eve, which, by the way, I'd like to say thank you to Adam and Eve for sponsoring this video. Always good to piss off the girl defined crowd, but if you go to adamandeve.com and use my name, Jaclyn, Jaclyn, as a code at checkout, you can get 50% off any one item and free shipping. And if you click the link in the description below, click it. I promise you will not regret it, because I sit right here and I open so many really interesting and exciting, and some are actually very large toys that Adam and Eve sent me, and I just love them. Honestly, like, I'm blown away every time they send me a fun box of things, how creative they are. There's like things that heat up. There's items made of glass that you can put in the fridge. I don't want to give too much away, but please click the link in the description below. Super fun unboxing. I had a good time opening that stuff. And hey, you know what? Kristen and Bethany from Girl Defined, I highly suggest you check out Adam and Eve. And then use my code, ladies. This is a equal code for all. All are welcome at adamandeve.com to use my code Jaclyn and get their 50% off and free shipping. Check it out. Link in the description.
As far as Governor DeSantis, he's a hypocrite. I mean, look at his own beaches in Miami. If thongs are going to corrupt children and damage them, he should look at his own beaches.
As much as I want to support and send love, because I'm sure this is a very difficult topic, I have to poke so many holes in this argument. Like, if you don't want your kids to see people in thongs, that's one thing. I mean, if you go to any outdoor activity that's like bathing suit worthy, beach, pool, I don't care where you are, most bathing suits for women nowadays pretty much are a thong. Like, I'm sorry, they're very tiny. I've had to actually go out of my way to find bathing suits that are more modest, and I'm not trying to go all Paul and Morgan on you, but if I'm taking my kid to like baby swim lessons and I'm around other parents and stuff and like a bunch of kids, personally, I don't feel like the need to be sexy that day. I'm not flirting with my soon-to-be husband that was my fiance at our honeymoon when we made a baby. I am around a bunch of other kids where I do try to dress a little bit more appropriate for that. But if you're going to take your kid to a public area, a public pool, public beach, water park, I don't care where you're going, you're going to see ass. I mean, I hate to say it that way. You're just going to see ass. The difference, and where I don't find hypocrisy in this, is because the difference is the sexualization of it. Just wearing a revealing bikini doesn't necessarily call for sexualization. But if that person is shaking their ass and twerking and you're sticking dollar bills in their outfit, well then, now it's been sexualized. Where I just feel like a revealing bikini at a beach in and of itself is not sexualized. Although people should just not straight up not be taking their kids to nude beaches. I don't know what the laws are on that, but it shouldn't be legal. Like, there should be an age limit kind of thing. I don't know. I've never been to one because it would creep me out. So she goes on to say that just because someone might do drag, it doesn't necessarily mean that them just being themselves, being in drag is going to influence other people around them, including kids, to do drag as well. And I have to agree. It's not like it's contagious. I don't want kids to go to sexualized events of any kind, but that doesn't mean I don't want kids to like be exposed to anyone in drag. Like that's completely different to me. But then this guy who she's debating, I guess, has this brilliant little nugget to add.
It's like saying just because somebody's been around an alcoholic, they're not an alcoholic. It doesn't make it appropriate.
So I'm not appropriate for a child.
In my opinion, no, you're not.
Wow. That's big. That's saying a lot. That's a lot of hatred.
I said, wow.
It's not hatred. There's no hatred whatsoever. You have a right to do with your body what you want to do, but I don't think that you're appropriate to raise a child. That's my opinion.
Oof, yeah, so that... I'm so sorry. That is definitely bigotry right there. If you think kids should not be around someone who is LGBT, if you don't want someone to be around a lesbian or a drag queen or someone who's trans or any and all of the above because you think that that is equivalent to like being around an alcoholic who is potentially abusive, like, I'm sorry. I just wholeheartedly disagree and understand offense taken by that mindset. It is bigotry, it is hatred. And I really, like I said this earlier, I want to make a distinction here that just because I don't think kids should be throwing dollar bills at someone shaking their ass means that I don't think kids should be around drag queens. I think you could completely pull that off and be completely appropriate for kids. I've heard of different drag shows that are like Disney themed where they're just singing Disney songs and they're wearing a dress. It's not sexualized, it's not a thong. They're not dancing, they're singing Disney, or they're reading books at a library. Like, there is nothing wrong with exposing kids to a culture as long as that culture is not like the sexualized version of it. You know what I mean? I hope I'm making sense. I feel like I am, but I know I'm pissing off a lot of people right now on both sides, which honestly probably means I'm doing it right. But let's move on to Girl Defined because I'm sorry, they're just so stupid. I don't want to be rude. I find their opinions to be contradictory to my own beliefs. How about that phrasing?
In fact, something happened recently in our own backyard, not literally, but in Texas. I whacked myself in the face. Okay.
You could not start this with a more perfect clip. Whack yourself in the head a few more times, Bethany. Just go for it. At this point, you got nothing to lose.
Okay.
There was a big drag show and it was literally titled Drag the Kids to Pride, a family-friendly drag show. That's how it was advertised. And basically they were saying this is the ultimate family-friendly drag show. Come, bring your family, bring your little kids. We're gonna have drag performers.
So now we're getting into the little segment where I sort of kind of agree with them, and I hate to say it. I hate to give them any kind of credit, but hey, you know the saying, a broken clock is right twice a day. So let's keep going.
In a nightclub, by the way. There's going to be dancing, and they even said, in fact, we're going to have 5 spots open for kids to join the stage to dance with the drag performers, and it's going to be this wonderful family-friendly night. Let's go.
But what frustrates me about their video, one of many things, is that they use the children, which in this situation it does apply, but they use it for a bigger message. It's not that they're saying what I'm saying, that, I don't think that kids should go to a nightclub in any kind of sexualized environment ever. It's that drag in and of itself is like some abhorrent thing. And they're really just using this as a stepping stone to say something even more extreme.
As we look at God's design for the man and the woman, drag queens and the celebration of this sort of entertainment is such a mockery on God's design for womanhood.
Oh yeah, and to say like, oh, but we need to be supporting this. Like, no.
No, we don't, because it's a mockery of God's design for womanhood. Like I said, they used this nightclub controversy to make a bigger statement.
We are not going to give into the delusion. This is not going to help all of the major mental breakdowns that are going on in our world and suicide. Like, this is not helping it by affirming that, oh yes, 1, men can be women, or 2, men should dress up like women.
Oh, no. Bethany, can we please not talk about mental health as though you guys aren't extremely toxic in that area for so many people? Come on.
And, put on fake breasts that are way oversized, massive rears, wear very skimpy clothing and dance around and twerk and do all this stuff. Like, This is insane. No wonder we have problems.
No wonder we have problems. Like I said, Bethany, smack yourself in the face a few more times. How they don't see the hypocrisy in all this just baffles me.
As adults are the ones putting our children in this situation, putting them
They can't even consent, you know?
Yeah,
They're just told, this is good, this is healthy, go for it.
Oh, may I just point out the even bigger hypocrisy? I was complaining about hypocrisy earlier. Oh, well, now we really have it. She said, we as adults are the ones putting our children in these situations. And then Kristen was like, yeah, they can't even consent. They're just told, this is good, this is healthy, go for it. Feels a little bit like indoctrination, doesn't it? I know a lot of kids, myself included when I was a kid, that was put through very rigorous and extreme religious ideology training to become a certain type of person that they wanted to mold me into. I didn't consent to it. I was told, hey, this is good, go for it.
This is good, this is healthy, go for it.
But no, they're never going to see the hypocrisy in that because they're right and everybody else is wrong.
Okay.
It's so important to get back to the basic fact that we have a designer.
Yeah, they just really wanted to use this as a platform to be even more bigoted. I hate it. I hate that anything happened that gave people like them some even small morsel of legitimacy. I hate it.
And we're going to bend all of these gender norms. We're going to completely reject male and female, and we're going to mash it up, mix it up, chop it up, literally inject it, and come up with whatever we want. And I just think it takes common sense to look at it and go, wow, this is a disaster. No wonder we are having so many mental problems.
Again with the mental health. I don't know why I feel so bothered by Kristen and Bethany from Girl Defined, of all people, commenting on how others can influence people to have mental health problems when they themselves are so damaging to the self-confidence of people in the LGBT community that they're supposedly right now trying to help, right?
But when we look at God's word, it honestly erases the confusion. Like there's so much confusion, there's so much dysfunction, and we look at God's word and we see the simplistic truth that in the beginning he created them male and female, he created them in his image. And so the fact that I'm born with the female body informs me of God's intention for me.
And this is exactly my case in point. Like the way they speak, the messages they send are damaging, are hurtful. And it's like this, you see this with almost anything. When something happens, people will jump on that thing and then elaborate and just escalate it to a point of something else to make some sort of political statement or religious statement or try to push their beliefs on everybody else. And they just use and manipulate people in that way. And I hate to see stuff like that happen. And I hate to see this kind of bad name almost smeared across drag queens, because I don't think that that's deserved. I don't think that that's fair. Just because I might not think, and some people might not think that kids should go to drag shows or any shows, mind you, with this sort of sexualized nature, it doesn't mean that kids shouldn't be exposed to anyone who is gay or trans or a drag queen. Like there is a complete distinction there that I think is getting lost in translation through all this nonsense of people trying to jump on this issue to push their particular agenda. But I'm going to end my rant with that and leave it to you. I would love to know what you guys think in the comments, because I honestly was a little bit on the fence as to whether or not I should even post this video, because I feel like the expectation of me, because I do a lot of, left-leaning content, that people would think I would just be completely all about this. And I'm not. But I'm also not completely all against drag queens. And I don't want to position myself like that, because I think, I think that that's not ever something I would want to shield my child from. I would never want to shield my child from a person or a culture. But I would not want them to be throwing dollar bills at someone twerking. But that's just me. But if you hate what I'm saying, if you disagree with me, please unload your thoughts in the comments. I want to see what the consensus is on this, because I haven't really found anyone commenting on it in the way in which that I am. I just see a lot of people on one extreme or the other, and I would love to create a conversation in the comments. So again, thank you for watching, and leave a comment, like this video if you liked it. Honestly, likes really do help in the algorithm to tell YouTube that this video is even relevant, so do comments, so I'd really appreciate all of that. Thank you to everybody supporting me over on Patreon, patreon.com/Jaclyn, and to everybody buying merch at my merch store, ffvmerch.com. Well, I didn't realize I had a baby stain on my shirt that whole time. But anyway, minus the baby stain, this is one of the many items on my merch store. This is my husband, David Michael Frank, and I would love for you guys to check it out. If you go to ffvmerch.com and use code What a Drag, because this topic is such a drag that we have to even go through this and discuss this and enter this realm of people being super hypercritical on either side. I hate it. I hate politicizing things like this. Sometimes it's okay to have a middle of the road opinion. And I don't even really think I'm that middle. I think I am still pretty left-leaning, just, you know, minus the twerking and dollar bills. Do you get me? Maybe not. I'll find out when I post this and everyone hates me after. All right. Another great way to support me, if you're interested, is to follow me on other social media. So Instagram is a big one that I use. So just I'll just leave it at that. Follow me on Instagram, and I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye. Psh.